A couple years ago, I set a writing goal to finish the first draft of my new novel by the end of the year. I did not hit that deadline, but that experience completely reshaped how I set and actually achieve writing goals. So today, I'm going to take you through a proven method to get those writing goals out of your head and onto the page. And I'll show you my 2024 goals, all of them, the ones I hit and the ones I missed, and why those results happened. My name is Colby. I'm a writer of fantasy and science fiction who is aspiring to publish a book one day. I've been writing for about 5 years, and I didn't start goal setting until the last 3. I didn't start setting good goals until the last 2. Those last 2 years have made a huge difference in my productivity and prolificness as a writer. So let's talk about why goal setting matters. Here's the thing, vague goals get vague results. If your writing goal is just to write more or finish a novel, your brain has no clear direction. If your writing goals are too large, your brain feels overwhelmed. You won't know if you're succeeding, you won't know if you're failing or falling behind, you just won't know. And over time, that results in not hitting the goals. Specific goals give you something to work towards, to aim for. They give you clarity, motivation, and most importantly, momentum. So let's define what that means, specific goals. Okay, let's get practical. Instead of saying, I want to write more, say, I want to write 500 words by Friday. Instead of saying, I will complete my first draft by the end of the year, say, I will write 1 chapter per week. Break it down. Give your goals a number and a deadline, and you'll immediately have a better chance at achieving them. You've probably heard of SMART goals: specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. If you can apply those 5 attributes to a goal, there's a good chance you're going to follow through. Now, I talked about having large goals and how they can be overwhelming. That is true. That being said, I actually do think it is important to write some huge goals. For example, I want to finish a book this year. You can write that, but if you stop there, that's where the problem is. You need to take those big goals and use them to break it down into the more achievable, timely goals that are going to keep you progressing to eventually make that big dream a reality. So for example, let's say you're writing fantasy. This is going to be your debut novel. Debut fantasy novels are usually, on average, around 90,000 words. Not always, but that's a pretty typical standard. So let's say your goal is to write a 90,000 word first draft by the end of the year. That is 7,500 words a month, or 1,730 words per week, or even smaller, that's 246 words per day. When you break it down like that, it becomes a lot more achievable. Now here's the thing, you might look at me and say, that's ridiculous that you think I can write 246 words per day. Because even though that number doesn't sound like a lot, that's probably a couple of paragraphs. That is a lot when you're a busy person, and I get that. You're not going to be writing every single day. No one does that. I value productivity and I don't do that. That leads to burnout. But you're going to find that some weeks you have more time than you anticipated. Things will open up. You're going to have some weeks that you have less time than anticipated. You'll have weeks where you write 0 words, but those weeks where more time opens up, that's where you can leverage it and take advantage of it so that over time, you're averaging 240 words per day. Progress happens in pieces. It doesn't happen all at once. The next step would be to develop a writing routine that works for your life. I read a book called Deep Work by Cal Newport that seriously changed the progress of my life with writing consistency. I have an entire video where I break it down and I talk about how you can curate a routine that works best for your life. I'll put that up here. All you need to know is that creating a routine that is going to be sustainable and achievable for you is going to make a huge long-term success rate for you. The next step is monitor progress. Track your progress. I'm a physical therapist full-time. Let's say someone's shoulder's bothering them. I'll take a bunch of measurements, strength, range of motion, all these special tests. And then as we're going, I'll test those frequently. If I wasn't testing those, how would I know they're getting better other than them just saying they're getting better? You can't improve what you don't track. Does that make sense? It's the same thing with writing. When you are tracking your words, maybe it's daily, maybe it's weekly, maybe it's monthly, that gives your brain some dopamine. It also gamifies it a little bit, and it keeps you going towards your goals. I also have a video that shows exactly how I track my words and how I set it up on an Excel sheet. It's really easy and it's very sustainable. If you want to watch that, I'll put that here. I actually don't know if I can put 2 on here at once, but I'll put both of those in the description for sure. The next step is to seek accountability and community. I've talked about this a ton. Join a writing group. That has done me wonders. It forces you to stay accountable because they're doing the same thing. You're all going through this journey together. So if you support and cheer each other on, you're way more likely to continue moving forward. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be a writing group. It can be friends, family, just someone that you let them know that you're writing and that you have these goals, and they can check in on you every once in a while and see how it's going. The last step is create milestones. Have markers that when I hit this, I'm gonna celebrate somehow. Maybe it's 50% of the book. Maybe it's, I know these next 3 chapters are gonna be really hard, so when I finish this, that's a milestone and I'm gonna go out to dinner. Create those along the way to reward yourself and to progress towards and look forward to. Especially if you hit that big goal, definitely reward yourself. Do something fun. Whatever it is for you, do it. All right. Those are the things I wanted to talk about. Now, like I promised, I'll show you my 2024 goals. So let's do that. So these were my 4 long-term writing goals for the year of 2024. I know it says 2025. You can just ignore that. I copy and pasted this over from a different document because it had like financial goals and other goals that I didn't feel comfortable sharing. But you can see I hit 3 of those 4 major goals. And you know why? Because for those first 3, I set specific, achievable, and timely smaller goals throughout the year. For the agents one, I just put that on there because I wanted to do it. I took no steps to making that happen. So when the end of the year came around, I didn't know how to submit to an agent and I didn't feel I was ready to. So I didn't make it happen. Now I'll show you how I broke things down further. This is a tab that was created in our writing group. This one is mine. I'm not going to show you any of my other writing group members. Probably going to look a little overwhelming. I'm not going to go over every detail. I just want to show you guys generally how it worked. But this was 2024. This is the overarching stuff. There was a current working project, back burner project, and finished projects. Obviously when the year started, these 2 books were in the current working, but I finished them both. And that back burner stayed on the back burner. That was okay. That was the plan. If we go over here to the side, I would make short-term goals throughout the year. They're empty right now because this year is over and been over for a long time. But I would color coordinate them based on the color coordination of the projects you'll see below. And they would often be weekly and monthly goals. I would put the project here, I would create a deadline, and then I would make that specific goal, and then when I finished it, I would check done. If we move down, here are the specific projects. Headhunt was a science fiction book I wrote in the year of 2024. My original overarching goal was to finish draft 1. And then after that, I did a quick run through line edit, revision 1 where I focused on continuity and story, and revision 2 where I focused on my prose. I tracked them all and had progress bars for that. The next one is Rebel's Consequence. This is the first ever book I ever wrote. It's epic fantasy. I wanted to try it again in 2024, starting from scratch because I thought I was a better writer then. All I wanted to do was finish the first draft because it was planning to be a big book and ended up being massive, and I'm gonna have to probably rewrite it again. But I tracked it and I completed it. And this last one was on the back burner. It's a fantasy book. I didn't have a name for it at that time. That's the book that I actually am revising right now that I think has some serious potential. It's called Providence Unbound, but I barely started it in 2024. And that's okay, that was the plan. This is the last tab I want to show you. This is how I track my words like I mentioned earlier. But I track my words every few days. I'll go and input these and there's equations that track it over time. So you can see this is actually for 2025 just to show you, but there was one for 2024 as well. It looked different, so I'm showing you this one instead, but it was very similar. So that's another way that I would track my work. But overall, those goals and tracking led to this, hitting 3 of my 4 major goals for the year. And in case you're curious, I am absolutely on track with 2025, doing well because I've set up things just like this. But okay guys, that was it. So if you found value from this, subscribe to the channel. I'll be posting more things like this, some that are motivational, inspirational, but a lot of things that are specifically about productivity, sustainability, and creating a fulfilling life as an aspiring author while still having a busy lifestyle. All right guys, I'll see you in the next one and keep writing.